Dear Diary, slightly euphoric. After 11 days staring at the ocean, everything man-made is fascinating. I can see the white dome that houses Howard Hughes' Spruce Goose, the largest wooden aircraft ever built. It only flew once, but it was a true child of the American desire to stretch technology to the limit. It's technology that's brought me to America twice as fast as Phileas Fogg and his paddle steamer. From being well behind for the entire journey, I've almost caught him up. Now I'm just 2 days behind. I daren't let myself dwell on the fact that I'm still on the other side of the world with only 17 days left. The only cloud on a sunny evening is having to say goodbye to Captain Amarapu and the crew of the Neptune Garnet. Perfect hosts and unbeatable at pass the parcel. The good news is I'm going aboard the fastest ship of my journey, able to outrun any container carrier. The bad news is she's embedded in concrete. RMS Queen Mary. 51 years ago she crossed the Atlantic in fewer than 4 days. Now she sits still, a well-behaved, well-groomed prisoner. It's amazing how tempting the Pacific looks when you're not on it. It's Thanksgiving weekend, and America is taking it easy. On such a day, there's no outdoor entertainment quite like that on Venice Beach, where the street theatre opens at breakfast time.
Thank you. I have to take a 5-minute break now to recharge my batteries. The next show is in 5 minutes, and you too can get your lucky surprise from the amazing Dr. Rubitron. Thank you. Time out.
As the sun climbs, so does the energy level. This is concentrated California. Unself-conscious, ostentatious, loud and unapologetic. It's the happy face of excess. Time to go. It's an oddly disturbing experience, staying on a liner built for speed that never moves. Her new American owners have preserved her body well, but they've taken a few liberties with her spirit. On her fine, wide deck are poignant memories of the days before the rich and famous travelled on Concorde. The faces are there, but everything else is missing. And nowadays, the Queen Mary's horizon never changes. Union Station, Los Angeles, is another great relic of the stylish and elegant 1930s.
6 upstairs, 8 upstairs.
See you later.
That was B upstairs. Okay? And A upstairs.
Almost from the moment the station was built, the railways fell into decline, but no one could ever quite kill them off. There's still an express from LA to Chicago. It's called the Desert Wind, but you won't see many Hollywood stars on it these days.
So when do we start?
When do we start?
Yeah, when do we go?
As soon as they hook up and the power comes on,
Yeah.
and then everybody's aboard, they'll say aboard we go.
Okay, fine. When do we get to Glenwood Springs?
We'll get to Glenwood Springs tomorrow afternoon.
Everyone in America is a natural performer, and the staff of the Desert Wind no exception. They run the train as an endearing mixture of mobile holiday camp and the Titfield Thunderbolt. Suburbs of Los Angeles over an hour late, but no one seems to worry. They're on board because they love trains. From an aeroplane, America disappears below you. From the train, it opens out before you, and you can take in its breathtaking beauty in the detail it deserves. The 65th day of my journey and the first sight of snow as we climb up into the Sierras. Tonight we'll cross into the Mojave Desert. At dawn we'll reach Salt Lake City, then Glenwood Springs in the Rockies. Outside, the landscape is grand and daunting. Inside, the passengers are chummy and accessible.
It's nice to meet you, Michael.
It's nice to meet you too.
I understand you're
I am Marva the Clown.
Marva the Clown.
Marva the Clown, yes.
Traveling clown, obviously.
Yes.
Where are you
Traveling from my small community. I live on a farm, a very small community. So when I want jobs, I just get on the phone. And I say, I am Marva the Clown, and I have a great show. I have a stage show that's an hour. I do lots of music. I do puppets. And pretty soon they say, okay, how much do you charge? And I tell them, and that's how I get my jobs.
If I hired you or asked you to come along and entertain, what sort of act would you do?
Okay, well, I'll tell you about one of the ways I open my act, which I just came from me one time. Okay, so I start out my act and I tell them, now everything is huge, big movements. And I have this gorgeous gown that has huge sleeves, you know, and a great huge ruff. And so everything is big. And so I tell them, now, do you know what Marva the Clown did before she came? She put on her white clown face. Then she put on her eyes, big and black and bright. Her nose she painted a rosy red, and her mouth. And on her head she pulled her silly red curly wig.
Can I just ask you one thing? Because it fascinates me, but how long have you been
2 years.
a clown? 2 years? You took it up?
Just
Why?
Well, my husband said I was always a clown.
locomotives haul us 5,000 feet up into the Rockies, word reaches me that a ship bound for England sails from New York in 5 days' time. In theory, this gives me a day to spare, which I'd planned to use for seeing a friend in Chicago. But the Rocky Mountains are so tempting that I decide to forget friends in Chicago and explore.
Deadwood Springs. Yes. All right. Thank you for a great trip. Hope you come back to the United States and hope you enjoy it.
Credit to Amtrak. I shall come and do it the other way around.
Please do. Your van and all your connections will be over on that side. Okay. Straight up.
Yeah.
Deadwood Springs.
A few hundred yards from the railway station is one of the largest jacuzzis I've ever seen. It may be winter, but partial nudity is the order of the day, as bathers risk air temperatures of 33 Fahrenheit to bask in water temperatures of 104. These waters soothed the Ute Indians over 100 years ago. Now there are no Indians left to soothe, and for $25, anyone can buy 3 minutes in the therapy seat, something like a benign electric chair. It can go wrong like anything else, of course. It's my first hot bath for a few weeks, which is why so many people have disappeared. It's actually very pleasant. It's like swimming in slightly oversalted consomme. I'm told that no marine life can exist in here, so you're absolutely safe. Michael Palin, news at 4:30. Deadwood Springs, Colorado. An hour away and a further 2,500 feet up into the Rockies is Aspen, Colorado, America's most exclusive winter resort. It's a combination of East Coast taste and West Coast money. No neon signs allowed, no sodium streetlights. The houses clean and neat and rented out. Most people who work here live out of town, where it's cheaper. All those of you who know Around the World in 80 Days will, of course, be wondering why I haven't been in a balloon yet. Well, the reason is that the balloon wasn't in the book at all. The balloon was a fabrication of Mike Todd in the film Around the World in 80 Days, and never in the book at all, so you won't find me in a balloon. Apart from this one. As we go up, my stomach remains firmly on the ground. I can't quite accept why I have to wear a seatbelt to drive down to the supermarket, but absolutely nothing at all to drift in a small basket 1,000 feet above solid rock. But stark fear becomes resignation, then tentative enjoyment, and finally, sheer pleasure. Graceful in the sky, hot air balloons are clumsy on the ground. But in some quarters, our unceremonious landing is greeted with howls of joy. These are some of the 250 huskies bred and trained at Krablunik near Aspen. Some of them are racers, others are being prepared to take part in a 5,000-mile crossing of Antarctica. All I want from them is to hitch a ride to the nearest railway. The human element in the dog team is known as a musher. My musher today is called Marion, and he's a law school dropout from Mississippi, now married to Aspen's librarian.
You're very spoilt here. So much for the book image.
Swaddled against the elements like some partially sighted Victorian duchess, there's clearly little I can contribute to the journey but to sit still and shut up.
Comfortable?
Yeah, that's fine. No.
We're set when you guys are. Set?
How fast are we going to go?
Then we're away, with a helpful shove from a fellow musher, a surge of dog power from the 13-strong team, and howls of outrage from the dogs we've left behind. Marion controls the team by cooperation rather than coercion. No whip or rein is used. He says he knows the name not only of each dog, but of each dog's father, mother, grandfather, and grandmother. Dog sledding requires physical strength and intense concentration. The musher has to be a mixture of charioteer, speedway rider, and sergeant major. All that stops me feeling guiltily lazy is that the dogs are clearly having as good a time as I am. The stamina of the huskies is extraordinary. In an annual race across Alaska, they cover 100 miles a day for 17 days in all weathers. If there was enough snow, they'd take me to Chicago. As it is, we only just make Glenwood Springs. Here I'm greeted by the ominous news that the Chicago train is delayed. This could now be a serious problem. I have to be in Chicago on time tomorrow. If I miss the connecting train to New York, I miss the connecting boat to England. And I've no spare day left. I begin to regret ever having got off the train. A few minutes becomes an hour, and an hour becomes an hour and a half. Come on, get up, move on. What happened? What was the delay?
Well, we have 3 trains that meet in Salt Lake City. Desert Wind, Pioneer, and the California Zephyr.
Yeah.
California Zephyr got stuck in snow up in the Sierra Nevadas. And we can't go anywhere without them because they're the head part of the train and they have the engines.
Is there any more snow up front, or are we going to be clear from now on?
Right there, all around you.
Okay. As we pull away into the evening, what was almost a stroll has once again become a race against the clock. I arrived here at ease. I'm leaving in mild panic. Across Nebraska and into Iowa on the tracks of the Burlington and Northern Railroad. In America, rail freight is still in private hands, and Amtrak trains must rent the line they pass over. they aren't always given the best, and freight trains have priority. The prospects for catching up time look as bare as the endless farmlands we're passing. I don't know if it's just that I've returned from the Orient, but I can't help noticing how big Americans are. I mean, huge. And a lot of the biggest of them seem to be, you're slim. Chuck, you're slim compared to some of the people on this train. I mean, some of them are very, very big indeed. What problems do you have with them?
Well, we treat them same as we do we treat obesity as a handicap. That's how we treat that, but there are some special problems encountered with that. One in particular, it was an incident it was on our coastal train that runs between Seattle and Los Angeles. A woman had forgotten to put the toilet seat down, and instead of sitting on the toilet seat, she sat flat on the stainless steel mechanics of it. And our facilities, we have a macerator on them for treatment of the material. So she sat on this mechanical box, and her obesity went into the toilet bowl. So instead of a water flush, we use a combination of a suction power and a water flush. And her obesity, unfortunately, hit the little hole, and she got sucked in on the toilet.
Now that's the sort of thing your travel agent never warns you about.
Where are you from? Omaha, Nebraska. The Strategic Air Command is Omaha's claim to fame. That's where the presidents and the people ride during a national emergency to blow up the rest of the world.
Do you have a family you travel with you? Are you married?
Alex, I'm divorced now. I formerly traveled with my wife back and forth to Chicago, but now it's just me.
When did you divorce?
Officially about 3-4 months ago. I mean, it's not that we were peaches and cream getting along, but I didn't think we were in a situation where we were getting along that badly. I did everything I could to salvage the relationship.
Americans will tell you anything, and some of the stories are as endless as the line itself. But time for talk is one of the pleasures of the trade. Crawling into Burlington, with midday past and still on the wrong side of the Mississippi, I'd gladly exchange time for talk for a decent turn of speed.
Come on. Gotta move on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now crossing the mighty Mississippi River. This is the greatest of the U.S. waterways. The river travels 2,350 miles on its way to the Gulf of Mexico. The river is a state line between Iowa and the land beyond. Before the first river bridge was built in 1868, passengers and freight crossed the Mississippi in ferry boats. In winter, they had to brave the ice on foot. We do apologize for the delay and hope it hasn't inconvenienced anyone. Thank you very much for choosing Amtrak as your mode of transportation.
We hope it hasn't inconvenienced anyone. This may well prove to be the epitaph on my journey. The short December day is already fading, and still no sign of small-town Illinois becoming urban Chicago. Well, Chicago has materialized, and though this may not be its most attractive face, I've never been so glad to see a station in my life.
New York, please.
New York?
Sleeper, yeah.
New York will be 2 from the rear end of the train, sir.
Okay, fine. When does it go? Soon?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Up the ramp, turn to your left.
Okay.
You know, we're right there by the escalator.
Okay.
Go up the ramp, turn to your left.
Now this is a mystery. Who knows I'm here apart from the BBC?
Am I going to pay?
Are you filming a movie?
Dozens of movies.
All right.
the end of the world. Yes, whoa. Now, where's the ticket office? Tickets. Yeah, you can go to London instead of me. Ticket office, up the ramp.
Hey, excuse me, did you just get on the train?
Straight ahead. Oh, it's up that ramp. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
I'm caught between knowing I might miss the connection and not knowing what the emergency is. It could be that my ship's delayed or rerouted to another port. I have to find out. I can see from the clock I've only 7 minutes left. I know this is un-British, but it's time for a bit of queue barging.
Washington.
So I have to catch 6:05. Someone paged me. There's a message from Mr. Palin.
That's me, here.
Oh, great.
Palin Paul is gentleman right here. Safe Mason, sir.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I have to tell Seth Mason I'll call him at Christmas. Thanks.
19 North, sir.
19 North, thank you.
So that's all it is. A message to ring my friend in Chicago. The one I didn't have time to see because I stopped at Glenwood Springs. Quite innocently, a friendship has come within a whisker of wrecking my chances.
I'm looking around the world again. I tell you, this is it. I'm going to stay at home, go straight to an old folks' home, travel very gently from Maidenhead to London on Thursday.
Lakeshore Limited, only 200 miles from New York. I love this scenery and I shall miss it. But the real America is, as ever, inside the train.
The first role model that anybody has is probably their television set. They turn on the TV. TV says, well, you should be wearing this type of clothing, you should be working towards this type of goal, this is what you should be striving for, and this is the way they're socialized, and this is what they actually believe. Little girls, when they grow up these days, they're taught that this is the way it should be. This is what you have to go after. You don't want to be a housewife, you want to be a career woman, you want to go to college, you want a nice house, you want 2 cars, you want a Mercedes, you want a BMW, you want a large home, you want all the amenities and all the luxuries, and this is the way as Americans we're socialized, as opposed to somebody in India who their life may be the principal crux of their life is religion.
Who teaches you this? Who tells you? Who sets these standards?
Who sets our standards?
Who sets your standards? Teachers?
American culture.
The Lakeshore Limited attracts a clientele rather different from the laid-back tourists of the desert wind.
Can I ask you why you're on the train?
Sheila made me come. We're going to New York.
Yes.
We're going to see a show at Radio City.
Yes.
We're going shopping at Macy's. What else are we doing? Chinatown. See the Statue of Liberty.
That's a pretty long day. Aren't you going to do anything fun?
Chippendales. Chippendales.
What's Chippendales?
Strippers, male strippers. Oh, sure, I get to say that.
What have you been there before?
Don't be scared. Yeah, I've seen the male strippers before.
What do they do?
Dance.
Strip, yeah.
And strip. Not naked, no.
Not naked?
No. Grovel for tips.
Yeah. Are you all married or you're
Yes.
free spirits?
We're married free spirits.
Ah, that's very good, yeah. Are there any strip clubs in the town where you come from?
No, that's where I see the male strippers.
When you come back home, you feel this anticlimax.
Story 1. Ask her, explain it, Joshua. What's it all mean? Explain. Cut.
Grand Central Station, New York. I disembark with a feeling of quiet satisfaction. No, be honest, a tidal wave of relief. the day left to catch my ship and the chance of being home for Christmas. I could get ahead with the shopping, but I resist the temptation to hit Fifth Avenue.
Do you know Newark Container Depot? Okay, great. I shouldn't think it's an address you could ask for often, is that right? Not too many container passengers. It's a very strange life I've been leading the last 70 days.
This is great. New York's only untalkative cabbie.
You ever taken people to the QE2 or any of those ships? You ever had affairs that want to go to the QE2?
QE2, no.
No.
Well, this is my QE2, the Leader Maersk. Destination, Felixstowe, Suffolk. This may not be the way the Duke of Windsor or Liberace did it, but today you cross the Atlantic with the cargo, or you don't cross it at all. The Leader Maersk is the 10th ship I've boarded in 70 days. She may look an unglamorous saviour, but my fate is now firmly in her hands. On a brilliantly clear, cold morning, America treats me to a fine farewell. And I return the compliment with a wave of relief and gratitude to a country which so nearly tripped me up.
Slow ahead. Slow ahead. Leader Maersk, eastbound on the Kills on stand attack, bound for sea. Leader Maersk.
As we sail out under the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge, I'm at last level pegging with Phileas Fogg. He left New York in the Henrietta with a cargo of gravel. Both of us have 9 days left. Fogg was confident he could make it if the sea did not become too rough, if the wind did not rise in the east, if no mishap occurred to the vessel. To make doubly sure, he locked up the captain and sailed the boat himself. If I locked up the captain, I'd still have to deal with the first officer, one of 3 women on the crew. The sea looks blue and friendly enough at the moment, but I've been warned about the North Atlantic in December. It can change its mood suddenly and dangerously. We cross the Gulf Stream, where warm water meets cold air and the Atlantic steams like a Turkish bath. The eerie silence only adds to the feeling that our fate is in the hands of greater powers than the Maersk Line. On our 4th day, the wind rises, the mist clears, and I cautiously prepare for home with the help of Lillian, the stewardess.
I'm rather vain about my hair, I quite like it the way it is, so just a little trim, so tidy me up for that moment on the dockside. When I see my loved ones again, I don't want them to...
They won't recognize you.
Ah, is that a good thing?
The meals are on a Viking scale, copious and carnivorous. The Danish hospitality, like almost everywhere else I've been, is generous and unstinted.
You do live well on this ship, don't you? Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Here's to Leader Maersk and her crew, and everybody has made me very welcome.
Yeah, okay, here's to you, it'd be nice to have you.
Well, here's to we're not there yet, but here's to Felixstowe.
I don't see any fireworks or flotillas. You'd have thought the BBC would have got out their boat race launch. It's funny how moments you've rehearsed in your mind for so long end up with a quite different script. Right now I don't have any sense of the heroic. I just worry if my jacket will still fit in my bag. Did I get presents for all the children? When I first blew up the world, it seemed an incomprehensibly huge distance to cover. Now I've covered it, I can't quite grasp what I've done.
Felixstowe on a cold December morning. Not everyone's idea of the promised land, but when you've been away for 11 weeks, it's home. I sort of feel I should be leaping up and down, terribly enthusiastic, great to be back, but the trouble is I've got rather fond of life on board ship. I shall miss the space and clean air. I don't know if I'm ready for traffic jams and telephones just yet.
I may be home, but I'm not home and dry. Felixstowe to the Reform Club is by no means a direct route.
Anyone near a railway station, eh? That'd be fine.
Thanks.
Oh.
Thanks a lot. It's great.
All right.
It doesn't happen to you that often.
No. I just see these lorries. I've seen them all around the world drawing up, and I thought it's time I went to one. I thought I'll get a British driver, so I'll have a nice chat. See how things have been in the last 80 days. Beautiful morning, isn't it? It's lovely. It's lovely.
Do you think Drake and Magellan had this sort of trouble?
Hello, Mr. Drake. Back again.
Or is it that circumnavigators are only of interest to other circumnavigators?
It's Christmas. I forgot it's Christmas. Just back in time. Time to send my cards. Time to do the shopping. I thought I'd just miss all that, you know.
I want to tell the world. I've just come back from Venice, Athens, Cairo, Bombay, Hong Kong, Shanghai. I've sailed the Corinth Canal, crossed the Yangtze and the Mississippi. Just let me tell you about it, please. These people don't know about me. They don't know I've eaten snake, lived on a dhow, driven across Arabia in one weekend. Doesn't it show? That's England for you. There isn't a country in the world less easy to impress.
Yes, 1 to Ipswich, please. 1 to single. Value for money. What time can we get to Ipswich? It's about 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Let me just check what time arrival. 13:20. 13:20. Time for a sleep then, yes.
This is stretching out the agony. The clock ticks on and I'm still only at Ipswich.
London service will call Colchester and London Liverpool Street. Change at Colchester, Clacton, Whittam, Chelmsford, Shenfield and Romford.
I can't get lunch on the train as the chef's not turned up, but they served me afternoon tea a few hours early. As it happens, there's no better way of getting reacquainted with Britain than over afternoon tea and the view from a train. Liverpool Street Station in London. With the end in sight, I suddenly feel all my energies flagging. Maybe it's fatigue. Maybe it's the shock of being somewhere so busy after 8 days contemplating the Atlantic, but I feel myself more than usually aware of that underlying atmosphere of tension that most city dwellers don't even notice. As we pull into Bank Station, a harsh voice triggers my worst fears. A suspect package has been found on the station. This can't be happening. As the doors close and we move away from the fated station, I fancy I can hear above me the galloping of Phileas Fogg's hansom cab and the light sound of laughter. At Oxford Circus Station, I mount what I pray will be the last set of steps before the Reform Club. I decide to buy a newspaper as proof of my date of arrival.
A favour, please. Oh! Stop the drink! Leave your guts off! Sorry, they're only photographing me, not you. On the paper? Oh, it's good to be back in England, where people are so charming and jolly and polite and friendly and cooperative. Oh, it's a wonderful country.
What is happening? This is my home, and yet I feel like a stranger in a foreign land. Are these sour and surly faces my countrymen? The generosity, curiosity and helpfulness which I've met in every corner of the world seems to have run out here. Oh well, maybe it's just Christmas, the season of long queues and short tempers. Try again.
Hello. You won't believe this, I've just come back from an 80-day journey around the world, and not only have I not got any English money, which I hope you'll be able to change for me, I also would like you, if you could, to corroborate the date that's on your sign there. What is the date today? 12th of December. You say that on oath? Okay, thank you. It may help, in this cynical world.
December the 12th, that's all I need to know. The 13th would have been my 80th day.
December the 12th. I wasn't throwing my voice, you heard it.
I seriously wonder if I can survive the last few hundred yards. My past life begins to flash before me. I've done it. Suddenly, there they are across Pall Mall, the welcoming lights of my final destination, the Reform Club. But, like the jolly Christmas lights of Regent Street, they are to prove sadly deceptive.
Well, there we are. This is the Reform Club. This is where Phileas Fogg started his journey. This is where I began my journey on September the 25th, 1988, 79 days and 7 hours ago. Unfortunately, for reasons of their own, the club do not want me to go in there and film this afternoon, so I have to say this is the end of the journey on the pavement outside 104 Pall Mall. That's it.
Well, it isn't quite it. The BBC is still open, and at least there might be someone there who's pleased to see me.
Well, I just don't think we're really on film at the moment. Let's hope Mike arrives soon so they will pan around and see us.
Hey! It's Mike! It is Mike! Welcome! Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's my close friends and chums. Sure, down there. A great little studio. Now, what do we got? What date is it? Please, we'll just have a check. I want a corroboration. The date is... What's the... December the 15th. 12th? Wrong. 12th. Is it the 12th? The 12th. We have the 12th here. Oh, thank you very much. Friends, Indian roofing tile. I got that off the top of a station toilet somewhere in Central. No, China. That's the Chinese. Chinese. Dung? Yes, probably originally. Yes. Yeah. Dung didn't do anything with it.
That's very nice.
Simon, you have got astrology chart. Yes, Simon and Phileda's astrological chart.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm going to read it. That was the guy who we spoke to in Bombay, and I said to him, amongst other things, you know, what's in the future for me? He said, you will be going around the world. I said, you know, this was Bombay Day about 30 or something. I said, what will it be like? You know, will it be trouble? You'll go very smoothly. You will get there probably with a day to spare.
So, Mike, what has it been like hiding in a broom cupboard
at the BBC?
At the BBC in 80 days?
I've run out of ad-libs. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day.